Look at me, I will never pass for a perfect bride or a perfect daughter. Can it be? I'm not meant to play this part. Now I see that if I were truly to be myself, I would break my family's heart. What's up, CherishingFlo fam? Welcome back to my channel. We're all about love, positivity, being a girl boss, and everything in that vicinity. In today's video, we are doing another Sunday story time. In today's story time, we are going to be talking about my horrible experience with online dating / online dating apps, yada yada yada. If you're new to this channel, then welcome back. If you're new to this channel, then go ahead and subscribe and turn on notification bells so you don't miss any future Sunday story times. If you're not new to this channel, then welcome back. Thank you for being here. Thank you for loving me as much as I love you. And yeah, let's get into this video. So basically, this is when I was online dating in 2015, and me and my best friend, we were on the same dating app at the same time. We were all, I don't know how we found out about it, and dating apps were kind of like, I don't know, it's like something teenagers and like between, when I say teenagers, I mean like 17 to like 19, I guess. It's from like 18 up. So from the ages like 18 up, people were all on dating apps and stuff. And so the app that we were using was called Badoo. I think that Badoo is still a thing now, but it was a dating app, and we started with it from our hometown in Alabama, but then when we moved to Georgia, we did the same thing. So this happened like right when we first moved to Georgia. We had not been here long at all. So I meet this guy. I don't even remember his name, so whatever his name is, we'll call him Evan. He looks like an Evan. So we'll call him Evan. And he was a really attractive Italian white guy. And when I saw him, I swiped, swiped right or swiped left, whichever one means yes. And he swiped too. And so after a while we matched, and we started conversing via Badoo. So then we started talking about where we lived, and we both lived in Duluth in Georgia. And I distinctly remember us having a conversation. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. And we were like, we had kind of had some good conversations, before then, but nothing like serious. Like we never really talked. It was just like, hey, what's up? What you doing? What you into? Type stuff. And then one night we were talking about, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. My best friend and me were both, because we were roommates at the time, we're both chilling, where it's like we just ain't gotten to sleep yet. I think it was like a Friday night, Saturday night maybe. And we had just moved and we hadn't been in our new apartment very long. So I was telling him that I had just moved into this new apartment, and I was like, yeah, I live in Duluth. He was like, oh yeah, me too. I was like, and then I was describing like what was around the apartment complex. He was like, yo, that's cool. I live in an apartment complex near there too. So then I was like, oh, that's dope. I was like, what's the name of your apartment complex? Then he says the name of his apartment complex. It was the same apartment complex that I lived in. And I was like, yo, that's crazy. I live here too. And then he was like, yo, that's wild, blah, blah, blah. We should hang out sometime. And I was like, yeah. And then he was like, yeah, my apartment number is like something, 1208, I think he said. And mine was 1206. 1208 was right next door. And I was like, 1208? And he was like, yeah. I was like, yo, I'm in 1206. And he was like, what? And I was like, and so like, it was almost like immediately I actually kind of got a bad feeling. And anybody who knows me knows that when I get bad vibes, I almost always listen to those vibes, because they're almost, in fact, I don't think I've ever had a bad vibe and it been wrong. But immediately I had a bad vibe. But in my mind, I thought it was just, discomfort. I was new to Atlanta and I didn't trust anybody. And, you hear horror stories about stuff that happens in Atlanta. So immediately I was just like, oh snap, this person that I don't really know that well lives next door to me. What am I going to do? But I was like, okay. So as soon as I told him that I lived in 1206, I almost regretted it. But I had already told him. So he was like, that's crazy. And then right after that, he said, well, have you ever seen me with my 2-year-old daughter? And first of all, didn't know he had a daughter. But I was like, no, I didn't even know you had a daughter. Apparently the mom is like in another state or something. I don't know. I don't remember what the deal was with the mom, but she wasn't there. And it was him, his dad, and his daughter. And they lived in the next door. And at the time, it was me, my best friend, and my mom, and we were living in 1206. So I was like, okay, that's cool. I was like, yeah, that's cool. That's what's up. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. He says, come outside real quick. And I was like, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. And and I don't know you, I will be doing absolutely no such thing. So I wasn't even acknowledging what he was saying. And I was like, okay, so I was like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna come outside right now. He said, why not? You know, we live right next door to each other, easy access, blah, blah, blah. I said, but he worked really, really late night shifts, and I worked really, really early morning shifts. So when he sleep, I'm up. When I'm up, he sleeps. So that's probably why we didn't talk as much. But I was like, yeah, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't want to go out. I don't leave my house for nobody at no 2 o'clock in the morning. Anybody who knows me knows I'm not a night owl. I'm not the type of person to stay up all in the middle of the night, weekend or not. It's not for me. So I was like, okay. And then he was like, okay, so we'll find another time to hang out. So we didn't really see each other that much after that. I didn't really see him at all until like a couple weeks later, and we hadn't really been talking that much. And then a couple weeks later, I saw him. He drove a really nice car. It was like a Camaro or something. And I saw him driving outside his Camaro, and I saw him, and it's like he looked familiar, but it didn't really click in my mind who he was until he said Ricky. And I was like, yes. And he said, oh, it's, what I said his name was, Evan. And I was like, yo. And then immediately I remembered, and I'm like, oh no. And he was looking at me, and he was like, wow. He said, it's weird. He was like, that we live next door to each other, but we never see each other. And I was like, yeah, that is kind of weird. And LOL. So then he's like, you want to come upstairs, meet my daughter? And I thought that was kind of weird, because I was like, I just met you. Now I got to meet your daughter. But, you know, we live next door to each other. I was going home. He was going home. Whatever. So I go inside of his apartment. They ain't got no furniture in there. And I remember that being the first thing I thought, because he told me he had lived there for like 6 months. And I was like, where y'all furniture at? And so they didn't have any, I mean like no furniture. There was a TV on the floor, and that was it. And so I was like, okay. So I saw his daughter. She was so beautiful. She walked up, she's hi, and she's all friendly and she's sweet. And so I meet his daughter, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go home now. I just got off of work. I'm kind of tired. And he said, you want to stay a little longer? I was like, nah, I want to go home. I need to eat. I need to chill. I need to be in my own bed watching my own TV for a second. And at this time, my roommate was still there. And stuff didn't start going left until not too long after my roommate left. That's a whole nother situation. But eventually, my best friend / roommate ended up leaving, and we lost touch for a while. And during that time, the guy next door started texting me and calling me a lot. And I wasn't really answering, not intentionally, but because I was kind of busy. And I just kind of was like doing a whole bunch of different stuff. I really wasn't no specific guy at this time. This was like in January. It was getting my full focus. No guy. And that's kind of how I can be like that sometimes. If I'm single and I got stuff going on in my life, or I have a goal that I'm trying to reach, even if I am talking to somebody, there's a good chance that I'm not going to be paying them that much attention. And if I'm in a relationship, then the guy is just going to have to understand. I'm going to let him know, like, right now I'm focused on this. So if I don't talk to you as much, this is why. And so this is like one of those instances in my life where I had something I was really focusing on, and so I really wasn't paying that much attention to the guys who were texting and calling me. And then finally he gets upset, and when he sees me again outside, he gets in my face and he's like, so you can't answer the phone, you can't call somebody, you can't do this. I mean, like, it's a complete 180 from what I had seen from him before, because he was always really calm, really sweet, really nice. And then this time, hadn't seen him in forever, he literally gets in my face as I'm getting out of my car. I didn't even see him coming. And so I'm sitting in the car, in front of my door, and I'm like, yo, I've been busy. I haven't been talking to anybody. And he said, nah. He was like, you're just like all them other girls. You act like you're interested, and then all of a sudden you're ignoring me and you're ghosting me. And he's like going off, and I'm just like, I was just like, and I wasn't even surprised. I wasn't like scared as much as I was like, what's wrong with you? Like, I was just like, nigga, what are you doing? So he's like in my face. He's like, da 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 da, you're this and you're that. And then finally I was just like, if you don't get out of my face, I'm gonna hit you. And he was just like, whatever, bro, like, you da 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 da. And so then he walks off, right? So I go in my house. He was leaving to go to work, and it was like 6 o'clock. I was coming home from work. And so he left, and ever since then, he would send me like random text messages every now and again, and was like, oh, so are we still ignoring me, or are we still doing this? But after he did that, I was kind of like over it. I was like, yeah, no, sir, I'm good off of you. And so then it got to the point where he, one night at like midnight, luckily my mother wasn't home, he knocked on my door, texted me, he's like, I'm outside, come outside, we're gonna talk about this. And I was like, what the? So I should have called the police, but at the time I didn't even think to. I was just like, what is this nigga doing? So I just pretended like I didn't hear the doorbell. I texted him, I was like, I'm not coming to the door, you sound crazy, you need to leave my property like right now, you need to leave from in front of my door like right now. So then he was like, you're fake and da da da. He starts going off, Now, mind you, to me, we weren't hitting it off that much in the first place, but I thought we were getting along just fine. It's just that I'm not an attentive type female. If I'm being 100% honest, I'm not an attentive, in-your-face, lovey-dovey type woman. That's not who I am. So even if I was interested, and I really wasn't, but even if I was, he wouldn't have gotten that much attention from me anyway, unless we were in a full-blown relationship. Then I would have made it like a priority to make sure that I gave him a sliver of my time. But we weren't, and we weren't even close to that. So it was very confusing for me how he went from one thing to another. And then it started to get to the point where, like, if I was outside near my car, he would be driving and he would like do extra circles. Like, he would be supposed to be leaving. He would drive out and then he would come around and I would watch him drive in circles. And I'd be like, what are you doing? And then finally, I met my boyfriend, who I have right now. If you guys know him, then you guys know him. If you don't, then subscribe and I'm sure you'll see him at some point. And we have a couples channel. I don't know if we're going to continue with that or not, but we do have one. And so I started dating him, and we had just started dating. And I told the guy when he texted me while I was dating him, I said, I'm in a relationship now. I met somebody new that I'd appreciate it if you'd really leave me alone, like for real, for real. Like, I know I've told you to leave me alone before, but right now I'm in a relationship with somebody new, and whatever it is that you thought we was going to have, we definitely not going to have it. And he was like, he's like, you were too busy to talk to me, but you're able to make time for this guy, and blah, 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 blah. And I mean, I guess he had a point in a way, because we did live right next to each other, and I never seemed to have time to talk to him. But when I met my current boyfriend, he lived like 35 minutes away from me, but I seemed to be able to spend time with him a couple times. And then there was another guy who I was talking to who lived like 45 minutes away, and we always found a way to meet up or meet halfway or something like that. So I don't know. I think I just didn't like this guy that much. And I told him that multiple times. And I said, okay, well, this guy I hit it off with, I really like him, whatever. And he was like, well, can we be friends? I was like, I don't know, we can be acquaintances, please leave me alone. So after this, it wasn't until my boyfriend came over, like, he didn't say anything else to me, he didn't bother me, until my boyfriend came over the house one day. And he saw us outside. We were sitting outside, sitting on the back of my car, and we were talking and laughing about something. And he does the same thing he did before. He starts driving around. I didn't say anything to my boyfriend at the time because we had just started dating, and I also knew that he had a temper, and wasn't really sure how he was going to react, and I didn't know the other guy well enough to see how that was going to how he was going to react. So I didn't want any like fights or any brawls or any drama to ensue. So I just didn't say anything. I noticed it, and I just rolled my eyes and kept it moving. And then the next day, because this was like on a Saturday or Sunday, then the next Monday when I was going to work, he texted me. He was like, your boyfriend's not as cute as me, which is not true. He was cute, but he wasn't finer than my man. So no, that was false. He was like, he's shorter than me, and he is shorter than him, because dude was like 6'2" or 6'3", but not by much. He wasn't, because my boyfriend's 6 foot, so he wasn't like he was like 5 inches taller than him or anything. He's like, he's shorter than me. He's like, you downgraded, da da da. I said, how can I downgrade when I was never with you to begin with? And if I was with you and then went to him, it would have been an upgrade. So let's calm down. And so then I said, yo, stop texting me. So I blocked his number. And then finally, it gets to the point where I did tell my boyfriend about it, and it became a whole big thing, because first, my boyfriend was mad that I didn't tell him about it in the first place, and then second, I told him about it, and he lived 35 minutes away, and at this time, neither one of us really had the time, because he was in school and I was working full-time. We didn't really have the time for him to just come any old time to come and deal with the issue. So it got to the point where he was being excessive. Once he found out I had a boyfriend, and once he saw the boyfriend, he started like, every time he saw me, it was something. He was saying something to me. Every time he could, he would try to follow me on something, on Instagram or on Twitter, add me on Facebook. It was always something with this guy. And until one specific day, I was about to come home, and I was going inside. I was going towards my house, and then he's coming out of his house. So we're about to pass each other like this, and then he grabs my arm. And y'all, there's a whole lot of stuff I can deal with, but I have a temper of my own. And as soon as he grabbed my arm, my temper immediately flared up, because I don't like when people touch me. I don't care if you yell at me. I don't care if you cuss me out. Like, all the other stuff is not really going to get a reaction out of me. But if you touch me, I'm going to pop off. So he grabbed my arm, and immediately my other hand came back. I wasn't even really watching what I was doing. It just came back and punched him across the face. And then he started calling me crazy. He's like, you're crazy. You don't just hit people. Da, 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 da. I said, and I was sitting there looking at him, and I said, don't ever touch me. Don't touch me. I don't care how mad you are. I don't care how cheated you feel. I don't care if you feel like I played you or I led you on or whatever. I don't care about none of that. I don't care about none of that at all. I said, but I'm going to tell you right now, if I see you again and my boyfriend is with me, I'm going to let him beat you up. And if you ever touch me again, I'm going to beat you up. Ooh, bless you. I said, if my boyfriend is on, I'm gonna let him beat you up. And I said, if you ever come near me again, you gonna have a problem. I said, you gonna have to, I said, I promise you, you don't, I was literally just going off. I said, don't ever touch me, don't ever touch me. And then he said, whatever, you're crazy, blah, 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 blah. That's why I can't deal with black girls anyway. And y'all are always on something. And I'm just like, after everything that he's been doing the past few months, I'm always on something. Black girls are always on something. His crazy, it's Italians. I'm telling you. If you're Italian, no offense, but like, I realized that even though I had an attraction to Italians, any Italian guy I ever talked to or met or got involved with in any kind of way, it was just some foolishness. Because if y'all remember Leon from all those stories, he was Italian. I just can't. But anyway, that was my bad experience. I met a lot of guys while I was on Badoo, but that one right there, and he lived right next door to me, so it was just some drama, and it was a very unfortunate coincidence. That's pretty much the story, you guys. If you guys have made it to this point in the video, then leave a car emoji in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this story, or if you've ever had anything like this happen to you while you were online dating, if you're into online dating, then let me know, and share your story down below. Or if you guys have any story times of those, I would love to hear about you guys' experiences. If you guys have ever had good or bad experiences with the dating app. I've had good experiences with the dating app as well, but you know, clearly I've had bad as well. And so yeah, if you guys want to hear more stories about some interesting stuff that happened while I was doing Badoo, because I actually have some other online dating stories that weren't as bad as this one, like where he was like basically crazy, but interesting enough. So yeah, if you guys are new to this channel, then go ahead and subscribe and turn on your notification bell if you haven't already. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're not following me on social media, then follow me on everything. If you type in CherishingFlo, you will find me. That includes TikTok, you guys. I'm on TikTok, so follow me on TikTok. I'm gonna start doing music and covers and stuff on TikTok. That's what you guys told me you guys wanted me to do, and so yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.